US President Joe Biden is about to address the people of America on the situation in Israel, the war with Hamas. And our Prime Minister here in New Zealand, Christopher Luxon, yesterday on AM, didn't quite go as far as calling it a terror attack, the attack from Hamas into Israel on Saturday. However, last night at the press debate in Christchurch, the Green Party co-leader Marama Davidson said that not only was it an act of terror by Hamas, but some of the actions of the Israeli Defence Force should also be considered terror attacks. And Christopher Luxon is the National Party leader, and he is with us live from Wellington this morning. Thank you for being with us. Do you consider that? Do you agree with Marama Davidson that there are terrorist actions happening from both sides here?
Well, look, let's be clear about this. We condemn totally the Hamas attacks on Israel and the impact that that's having and the pain and suffering that's causing on innocent civilians. And we certainly stand by Israel and its right to defend itself. And, you know, this is unjustified, unwarranted and unacceptable.
Is it an act of terror what Hamas did?
Well, it clearly is. I mean, in terms of the reality of what it's caused in terms of the suffering and pain of civilians, and it's completely unjustified. We condemn those attacks outright, and we certainly stand and defend Israel's right to defend itself.
And what is your view on the actions that the Israeli Defence Force has taken over many decades in Gaza?
Well, again, what we want to see in that part of the world is the two-state solution. We want it to be resolved peacefully and diplomatically, and that's what we should be continuing to strive for. But the reality is, you know, Hamas's attacks on Israel, we condemn them outright. It's incredibly shocking. It's incredibly sad seeing the images that we're seeing. But we stand with them to defend their right to defend themselves.
What do you make of Chris Hipkins on AM yesterday announcing that they were pausing the Labor Party policy, which they only announced a couple of weeks ago, of inviting the Palestinian representative in Canberra to come to New Zealand to present their credentials? What do you make of the pausing of that policy by Labor?
Well, that hasn't been our position. Our position is the long-standing one, which is that under successive governments, we've wanted to see peace in the Middle East. We want to see a two-state solution emerge. The only way to deal with that is to do so peacefully and diplomatically and have the parties driving towards that. But frankly, you know, these attacks from Hamas on Israel are unjustified and it's causing huge pain and suffering. And so, you know, that's our position. And so we don't support that position from Labor at all.
Indexing benefits to inflation rather than to wages. Do you know how much that's going to cost people living on a disability allowance?
Well, what it's doing is just making sure that each and every year there'll be an increase to benefits based off inflation, so that actually people can, you know, deal with the cost of living. Their purchasing power of their benefit actually buys the same bundle of goods that it does each and every year, and that's been the long-standing convention and the way to handle it. As you've seen in in times of high inflation like we've been experiencing, that's what beneficiaries need, because wages aren't keeping up with inflation. And so the right way to look at benefits is to make sure that they get regular increases each and every year, based off inflation, based off the cost of living, so purchasing power is protected.
Yeah, but your plan is to get inflation down, right? So wages will be growing, as they normally do, faster than inflation. According to disability advocates, they'll be $6 a week worse off in the first year, rising to $19 a week by 2026. People don't choose to be disabled. What's your advice to them about how they should survive without that $6 rising to $19 a week?
Well, there's no cuts that we're talking about here. What we're talking about is increases to all benefits each and every year based off an index to inflation. And
yeah,
that
but
is the right way to look at it, so that
you accept,
so their purchasing power is protected, right?
Chris, you accept that that will be at a lower rate that they would otherwise get under Labor. Do you accept that?
Well, it depends on what happens going forward around inflation. And what we're saying
well, if you're in government, hang on, Chris. If you're in government, you have promised to get inflation down, and you have promised that wages would grow faster than inflation, right? So let's take that as our basis for your promise. So you must admit, you must concede that those on a disability allowance would get less under your government than they would under Labor.
What we're guaranteeing is that they're going to be protected and their purchasing power of their benefit maintains, so that each and every year they can buy the same bundle of goods.
Can you answer the question?
I'm saying it's under inflation. We're going to index benefits to inflation. That's exactly our approach. That's been the long-standing approach in New Zealand. We think it's the right way to go. It's the best way to actually protect purchasing power of beneficiaries, and I think that's a good thing going forward.
Okay, can you please answer the question? Do you accept that will mean less money in the hands of those disabled people who are receiving a benefit under your government? Do you accept that that will be the reality?
They're going to have more money each and every year under a national government because we're going to increase benefits each year. It's a different approach from how Labor's looking at it, but what we think is that's the best long-term way to index benefits to inflation.
Is there a reason you don't want to answer the question?
Well, I mean, it's a different basis. So yes, in the fiscal plans, we have a different track around what that costs us relative to Labor.
Okay, let's not talk about your fiscal tracks, because let's talk about somebody who is disabled, who is receiving a benefit. Will they get more money under Christopher Luxon, or will they get more money under Christopher Hipkins?
They will have their benefit protected. They will have a regular increase each and every year that will be linked to inflation.
Okay.
I appreciate the Labor Party has a different approach to it. Our approach is to say what's the best long-term way to manage benefits, and that's to make sure that there's consistent, regular increases so that people's purchasing power is protected.
All right. I want to talk about the abolition of the Māori Health Authority because you're planning to scrap it. I noticed that you, in a previous interview with me back in January, you spoke about what you would do with that money that's going to the Māori Health Authority instead of it going to the Māori Health Authority, which you want to get rid of. What is your plan? Can you just remind us?
Well, what we want to do is we want to increase the health budget each and every year. We do want to recycle the cash out of the centre and out of the bureaucracy and put it into the frontline services so we can get better health outcomes for Māori and also for non-Māori. But what we want to do is partner very strongly with Māori health providers, and we can have one coherent public health system, but we can actually use Māori health providers, for example, who are doing amazing work in different communities that I've already visited, and actually deliver those health services and improve those outcomes that way. And so we want to see stronger, we want to see investment going into Māori health providers, but we want to do that in the coherence of one public health system.
Why have you not put any of that into any of your health policies that are on your website then?
Well, that's been our long-standing position when we've talked about what we want to do with all public services across New Zealand, is that we think we are one country, we have one system of delivery, we help people on the basis of their needs, and actually we want to partner in the same way we want to look at education with charter schools and other alternative education models as well within one education system. So that's our principle by which we want to run our public services going forward.
Okay, because you told me in January that you would give $170 million to iwi health providers in lieu of it going to the Māori Health Authority. Do you stand by that?
We're going to invest a lot more with Māori health providers and community health providers in general, because actually there are many good organisations that are doing a better job of getting to the communities that they need to reach, and Māori health providers are a good example of that in my mind. So we're going to continue to partner with them deeply, make sure we move the money from the centre out to the front line, deliver through those community health providers, and make sure that they actually get better outcomes. That's what it's all about.
You committed to $170 million in our interview in January. You're confirming that today? You're sticking by that?
Well, what we've said is we've got a big investment in healthcare. I mean, we've got massive cost pressures in our system. We're spending the money to make sure that we've got that covered off into our future. Plus, we're spending another, I think, $1.3 billion into the healthcare system as well, with other initiatives we've already announced. And we generally want to move the money out of bureaucracy to people like Māori health providers and others that actually can deliver the services. So that's that's in the mix of our healthcare budgets.
Let me play you what you said in January, and we'll see at the end of this if you still agree with it. All right, have a listen. Is the money that would otherwise be spent on the Māori Health Authority, you will take that money and you will give that to iwi to deliver health services?
Absolutely, because what I'm really...
So there's at least $170 million from your budget that you will be giving to iwi to deliver health services?
Yeah, because I come from a different place, which is that I think that actually delivering those services, there's not one mode of delivery out of Wellington that has to deliver those services. Actually delivering those services through community organisations that are closest to the people and to the challenges that are on the ground is the right way to do it.
So is that still true?
Absolutely. That's exactly
Okay.
our philosophy, right? That's
Why
what we've been
isn't it-
saying is we
but the
don't
amount.
do centralisation and control in Wellington and build bureaucracy, put the money out through community organisations and deliver outcomes for New Zealanders. And so we're very comfortable actually redeploying the money with Māori health providers. It's a no-brainer. They're getting good outcomes and good results. And that's our conversation with iwi leaders that I've been having over the last 6 months with iwi leaders, are saying how we want to work with them. It's doing exactly that.
I feel like I'm hitting a bureaucratic brick wall myself here. Can we just confirm the $170 million is the number that you will, as a minimum, that you will be giving to Māori health providers?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great, excellent. Thank you very much. Now, we need to move on because we're running out of time, but apparently there's a dinosaur standing behind you. Why is there a dinosaur with you this morning?
I don't know whether you saw the fantastic news reporting from Newshub last night. I mean, it was probably a jump the shark moment, I thought, for news in New Zealand, but apparently people were questioning my belief in dinosaurs, apparently. It was a major story on Newshub, of course, all the big issues being covered. And so we have our campaign raptor with us today because we're setting off from our campaign headquarters in Petone and heading up to Napier on board the Back on Track bus. So that's why our young dinosaur's in the background here for today.
I see. Can I ask who's in the suit? It's not Nicola.
No, I think it's Simeon Brown. I'm not sure who it is. No, it's a lovely young guy called Hamish. Yep.
All right. So and just to confirm, they are. You do think they were real, right? You're not like a
God.
dinosaur denialist.
I just can't believe Newshub asked the question, mate. It's all the big stories. It's a jump the shark moment, I think, for Newshub's news coverage. But absolutely believe in dinosaurs. Unbelievable question. No idea why people are asking that. But anyway.
All right. Well, I suppose people have got to have some fun, don't they? Thank you very much for your time this morning. There's National Leader Christopher Luxon.